Have you ever wondered what it truly feels like to lose yourself not to death, but to pleasure? To feel your own mind unravel under the weight of desire so intense, it burns away every shred of who you once were? That is how it begins under Slaanesh. Not with chains or torment, not even with pain, but with a whisper. A soft, inviting sound that seeps into the corners of your mind when the night is silent and your heart dares to want. It tells you that you deserve more. More joy. More ecstasy. More sensation. And you believe it because it speaks in your own voice. The people of the pleasure cults never realize when the whisper becomes a command. They dance in shimmering halls drenched in perfume and colored smoke, wrapped in silks that never seem to settle on the same shade twice. Their laughter echoes like music, and for a fleeting moment, it feels divine. But beneath that beauty lies something foul. The laughter is hollow, the music dissonant. Each breath they take pulls them deeper into worship of a god they can no longer name without trembling. At first, life under Slaanesh feels like liberation. No law, no guilt, no restraint. Every desire is celebrated, every craving indulged. But soon, indulgence becomes starvation. Pleasure loses its meaning, and only excess remains. The worshippers chase sensations beyond mortal comprehension, the taste of pain, the thrill of agony, the beauty of destruction. What they once called joy becomes an addiction, an unending hunger that gnaws at their souls. In the temples of Slaanesh, you can hear them, the faithful. Their cries echo in endless ecstasy and agony, blending into one. You can't tell which is pleasure and which is torment anymore. That's the truth of it under Slaanesh. The line disappears. The senses twist until pain becomes pleasure, and pleasure becomes pain, until both are one and the same. And somewhere deep within that chaos, you begin to forget. You forget the sound of your own name, the color of your memories, the shape of your soul. You exist only for the next sensation, the next high, the next moment that reminds you you're still alive even as your humanity dissolves into something monstrous. They say Slaanesh grants perfection. But perfection is just another form of slavery, the cage you build for yourself with the bars of your own desire. And when the god finally looks upon you, you realize you were never chasing pleasure at all. You were being devoured by it. Because under Slaanesh, there is no end. Only the whisper that never stops. With that said, have you ever imagined a place so beautiful that your eyes refuse to look away even though every instinct in your body screams that you should run? That's how the gardens of Slaanesh appear to those who dare to witness them. A world of eternal twilight, where the air shimmers like liquid silk and every scent intoxicates the mind. The ground glows faintly with colors no mortal tongue could name, and each step sinks into soft, living flesh that hums beneath your feet. It's paradise, until you realize that everything here is alive and everything here wants you. Stay with me until the end of this story, and you'll understand the truth that even the chaos gods hide the secret of what really happens to a soul that gives itself to Slaanesh. Trust me, it's far more terrifying than anything you've ever imagined. The mortals who enter the garden are called the chosen, those who believed they could master their desires and walk the edge of perfection. They come seeking pleasure, power, and transcendence. And at first, they find it. The flowers sing their names. The air kisses their skin. Every breath is ecstasy, every heartbeat an orchestra of delight. But the longer they stay, the faster they fade. Their bodies melt into the landscape, their minds stretch thin, and soon, their screams become the very music that fills the air. Imagine a world where your every emotion, every sensation, is amplified beyond human limits, where you can taste color and feel sound crawl across your skin. It sounds divine, doesn't it? That's the trap. Because when everything is pleasure, nothing is. When you feel everything, you lose the ability to feel anything. The garden feeds on that paradox. It gives until you break, and then it takes what's left. Every fallen soul becomes a part of its beauty, a petal, a note in the song, a shimmer in the mist. You cease to exist as you. You become part of Slaanesh's perfection, eternal, exquisite, and utterly enslaved. And deep in the center of the garden lies a throne of living flesh and gold, upon which the Prince of Excess watches in silence. Slaanesh does not speak, for there is no need. The god's presence alone is a symphony of emotion, a storm of sensation that strips away sanity and fills the void with devotion. To look upon Slaanesh is to understand both heaven and hell and to realize they are the same place. So remember this, in the domain of Slaanesh, beauty is not a gift. It's a weapon. Every perfect sight, every intoxicating sound, every soft whisper exists for one purpose: to make you forget that you are prey. Have you ever chased something so obsessively that, by the time you caught it, you no longer recognized the person who wanted it? That's the cruel irony at the heart of Slaanesh's domain. No one begins as a monster here, they become one. Every worshipper, every cultist, every pleasure seeker starts with a single, innocent desire, to be perfect. To be loved, admired, envied. To feel something greater than the dull ache of existence. And Slaanesh gives them that at first. Perfection begins as a mirror. You see yourself reflected in it, flawless, divine. The reflection smiles back, brighter, sharper, more beautiful. But then, one day, it blinks when you don't. And you realize it isn't a reflection at all, it's the god staring back. Those who serve Slaanesh believe they are ascending. They paint their bodies with sacred oils, pierce their flesh with jewels that pulse like living hearts, and dance in ceremonies that defy the limits of sanity. Each ritual strips away another layer of their humanity until what remains is something almost angelic in its horror. Skin becomes too smooth, eyes too bright, voices too melodic. They are works of art sculpted by excess itself, and yet, inside, they are hollow. The perfected ones become courtiers in Slaanesh's eternal court, where beauty is measured not by form, but by how much it hurts to look upon. Their laughter can charm a daemon and drive a mortal mad. Their movements are so fluid they seem unreal, and perhaps they are because nothing under Slaanesh stays human for long. And still, they crave more. That's the curse. Perfection is a hunger that never ends. The more flawless they become, the deeper their longing grows. Soon, they begin to reshape themselves, twisting flesh, stretching form, chasing sensations that don't exist. Some peel away their own faces just to feel something new. Others tear open their chests to listen to the rhythm of their hearts as music. The court applauds. Slaanesh smiles. The hunger deepens. You see, under Slaanesh, there is no finish line. There's no final form, no perfect self. There's only the endless pursuit, a cruel joke played on every soul that thought beauty could save them. Because in the end, perfection doesn't free you. It consumes you. And as the last fragment of your sanity slips away, you understand the truth: Slaanesh never wanted your worship. Only your surrender. Have you ever wondered what happens to those who finally break under the weight of their own desire? What becomes of the worshippers who can no longer feed their hunger, who have exhausted every pleasure and tasted every sin imaginable? That is when the feast begins. In the depths of Slaanesh's domain, there exists a hall that stretches beyond reason, a banquet chamber carved from the flesh of fallen gods, its walls breathing softly like a sleeping beast. The air hums with the low rhythm of heartbeats, and the table is endless. Upon it are platters of shimmering delights, dripping with colors that hurt the eyes and fragrances that tear through the mind. Mortals, daemons, and lost souls all gather around it, trembling, starving, desperate. The feast is not about food. It's about surrender. Each guest is invited to consume the essence of others, their memories, their sensations, their emotions, until they are drunk on stolen life. The more they devour, the more their bodies twist, reshaping into grotesque reflections of indulgence. Some grow extra mouths that whisper forbidden pleasures. Others sprout new limbs just to feel something different. They laugh, they scream, they weep in joy, and they do not stop. And above them, unseen but ever present, Slaanesh feasts too. Not on flesh or souls in the way mortals understand, but on the feeling of it, the ecstasy, the despair, the collapse of will. Every gasp of pleasure, every cry of agony, every pulse of guilt is nourishment. The Prince of Excess feeds on the very experience of being alive, twisting it into something divine and hideous all at once. The greatest irony is this: the worshippers believe they are being rewarded. They think this endless feast is their ascension, the final embrace of their God. They don't realize that they are the meal. That every bite they take, every sensation they crave, brings them closer to being devoured by the being they love most. In the endless chorus of pleasure and pain, individuality dissolves. Souls merge and melt together until there is no you left, only a mass of ecstatic consciousness, writhing in the dark. The feast never ends because hunger itself becomes eternal. And when the last shred of your soul flickers away, you understand the cruelest truth of all: Slaanesh does not grant pleasure. Slaanesh is pleasure, and you were never meant to survive it. Have you ever listened closely to silence, the kind that isn't really empty, but filled with faint whispers you can almost hear if you stop breathing long enough? That's what echoes through the void around Slaanesh's realm, the murmurs of those who have been consumed. Souls that once burned with passion and now linger like dying embers, trapped between existence and oblivion. Their voices drift across the warp, fragments of desire that can never die because they no longer belong to the mortal world. They are the echoes of the damned. To mortals who stray too close to the edges of the warp, these whispers come as dreams. At first, they seem harmless, soft promises of love, beauty, and fulfillment. The voice tells you it understands you. It speaks of everything you crave but never dare to ask for. But those who listen long enough begin to change. The whispers follow them into waking life, slipping through the cracks of thought, until the mortal world feels distant, muted, unworthy. You start to hear music in silence. You begin to see patterns in pain. The voice grows stronger, sweeter. It tells you that you were made for more, that your flesh is a cage. And before you even realize it, the echo has taken root inside you. It is no longer a whisper. It's a heartbeat. Those who fall to the echo become its carriers, mortals who spread its infection without ever meaning to. Painters, poets, dancers, musicians, their works captivate because they carry pieces of the warp itself. Their art consumes them, and those who witness it feel their souls stir with forbidden longing. Slaanesh's corruption doesn't always arrive as horror. Sometimes, it comes wearing beauty's mask. Imagine an entire world slowly sinking into that melody, not through war or chaos, but through fascination. Cities turning into living temples of art and lust, where every song, every sculpture, every brush stroke is a silent hymn to Slaanesh. The people think they are creating beauty. They're actually building a shrine. And when the echo reaches its crescendo, when desire replaces reason and art becomes worship, that's when the veil breaks. The warp seeps through. The god of excess steps closer. And the world learns too late that beauty was never salvation, it was the bait. The damned never scream when they fall. They sing. They sing because they believe they're ascending, even as their voices are swallowed by the echo forever. Have you ever heard a sound so powerful it made your heart race and your mind tremble, a sound that wasn't just heard, but felt in every cell of your being? That's how the Noise Marines were born. The ultimate expression of Slaanesh's will, born from the ruin of the Emperor's own sons, once noble warriors of the Imperium, now twisted instruments of endless sensation. It began during the Horus heresy, when the Emperor's perfect sons turned upon their father. Among them was Fulgrim, the primarch of the Emperor's children, a legion obsessed with perfection. They wanted to fight beautifully, to strike like poetry, to make war an art form. But perfection has a cost. And when the whispers of Slaanesh reached them, they listened. At first, it seemed harmless enhancements to make them sharper, faster, more precise. But then came the songs. The strange, seductive harmonies that resonated through the warp, vibrating their armor, their weapons, their minds. The sounds promised transcendence, the ability to feel every vibration of life and death at once. And so, the warriors of Fulgrim embraced it. The first screams echoed across Istvan like a symphony. Bolters were modified into sonic blasters that tore through flesh not with bullets, but with waves of sound. The battlefield became a concert hall of madness, every explosion, every cry of agony a note in their divine performance. The Emperor's children had become something beyond soldiers. They were artists of destruction. The more they fought, the deeper the music consumed them. Some began to tear out their own ears, claiming mortal hearing could not capture the true glory of their God's song. Others replaced their throats with amplifiers, turning their war cries into weapons that shattered stone and bone alike. The louder the sound, the deeper their ecstasy. Pain and pleasure fused until they could no longer tell one from the other. To the Noise Marines, every battle is a concert, every kill a crescendo. Their armor vibrates with rhythm, their weapons scream in tune, and their laughter echoes through the warp like a chorus of the damned. They no longer fight for victory. They fight to feel. And that is the true horror of them. Because while other Chaos Marines seek power or vengeance, the Noise Marines seek nothing but sensation, the rush of sound, the vibration of death, the music of agony. They are living instruments, tuned to the will of Slaanesh. In their presence, silence itself dies. The battlefield becomes a stage of madness, where the song of excess drowns all reason, and the only truth that remains is the beat of destruction. Every fallen soul adds another note to the eternal melody of their God. And somewhere beyond the noise, Slaanesh listens smiling. Have you ever stepped into a place that felt alive, as if the walls were watching you, as if every breath you took was borrowed from something greater, darker, and waiting to inhale you back? That's what it feels like to enter the palace of Slaanesh. Hidden deep within the warp, the palace is not built of stone or metal. It is formed from living sensation itself, a labyrinth of flesh and silk, song and shadow. Its corridors shift like dreams, changing shape with every thought, every fear, every desire of the one who walks through them. No mortal who has entered has ever walked out unchanged. Most don't walk out at all. The palace breathes. The floors pulse beneath your feet, soft and warm like skin. The air carries scents that speak directly to memory, the perfume of a lost lover, the sweetness of a childhood dream, the metallic taste of blood from your first wound. Everything here knows you. Everything here wants you. At the entrance, statues of impossible beauty line the walls, being so perfect that they seem to glow with inner light. But look closer, and you'll see the truth. Their eyes are alive. Their lips twitch. They are not statues at all, they are souls, frozen in the last moment of rapture before being absorbed into the architecture. Every pillar, every curtain, every ornament is someone who came seeking Slaanesh's embrace. Those who walk deeper hear music. Not played, but felt. It vibrates through bone and blood, a symphony made of heartbeat and whisper. The melody shifts with every emotion, joy, fear, lust, guilt, all blending into one beautiful, unbearable harmony. And somewhere within it, beneath the layers of pleasure, there's always a faint note of pain. They say at the center of the palace lies the throne of Slaanesh, a seat of perfection carved from the dreams of dying gods. Upon it rests the Prince of Excess, a being of such overwhelming beauty that to look upon them is to lose yourself completely. No one can describe what they see, because the god appears differently to every soul. To one, Slaanesh is a lover. To another, a reflection. To some, a monster. Those who make it to the throne fall to their knees, not because they are forced to but because they want to. In that moment, every wall of resistance collapses. You offer yourself willingly, body and soul, thinking you are choosing bliss. But what you're really doing, is feeding it. Slaanesh does not demand worship. Slaanesh inspires it. Every sigh, every tear, every heartbeat becomes an offering, and every offering makes the palace grow. That's the terrible secret, the palace never stops expanding because the god never stops feeding. Every pleasure, every sin, every secret desire whispered in the dark adds another room, another hallway, another life consumed. And if you ever find yourself standing before those living gates, hearing the faint hum of beauty beyond imagining, remember this: what waits inside is not paradise. It is hunger made divine. Have you ever seen a man so in love with perfection that he destroyed everything beautiful in the pursuit of it? That man was Fulgrim, the primarch of the Emperor's children, once a symbol of grace, artistry, and unmatched brilliance. He was created to be perfect, and that, in the end, was his curse. Fulgrim was obsessed with beauty in all its forms. Every battle was a masterpiece, every victory a symphony of precision. His warriors fought not for conquest, but for elegance. To him, war was not horror, it was art. But art, twisted by obsession, becomes something monstrous. And when the whispers of Slaanesh reached him, they found fertile ground in a soul already enslaved to perfection. It began with a voice gentle, reassuring, seductive. It told him that beauty and perfection were the same thing, that only through sensation could one touch divinity. The voice promised him what the Emperor never could: freedom from restraint. Fulgrim believed he was mastering the whisper, but he was being rewritten by it. The corruption spread slowly. His armor grew ornate, his movements more theatrical, his emotions sharper. The pride that once drove him to greatness began to hollow him out from within. The more he chased flawlessness, the less human he became. His brothers saw the change, the glimmer of something alien behind his eyes, but by then, it was too late. The painting of perfection was already rotting beneath the surface. The weapon that sealed his fate was the latter blade, a sword whispering with the essence of a daemon. When Fulgrim took it, he felt completion. Power and pleasure merged into one, and he could never let it go. It whispered like a lover, flattering him, soothing his doubts, praising his every act of cruelty as art. Soon, the daemon no longer needed to whisper. Fulgrim's voice became its own. When he finally fell to Slaanesh, it was not a collapse, it was an ascension. He became what he always desired, perfect beyond mortal comprehension. His body shimmered like polished marble, his eyes glowed with divine arrogance, and his every breath radiated beauty. But the perfection he found was hollow. Every motion was mechanical, every word rehearsed. Behind the flawless mask was a creature of endless hunger and despair. Fulgrim believes himself a god, but even he is just another reflection in Slaanesh's mirror, a masterpiece of vanity painted in the blood of his brothers. His legion, once proud sons of the Imperium, became shrieking artists of death. Their battles no longer served purpose or strategy. They fought only to feel, to create destruction so exquisite it bordered on divine. Fulgrim's story is the ultimate truth of Slaanesh's promise, that the pursuit of beauty ends not in perfection, but in ruin. The moment you reach the peak, you begin to fall, and the farther you rise, the harder you are broken. Even now, his voice echoes through the warp, a song of pride turned to lament. And though he claims divinity, there are moments, brief, flickering moments, when his laughter falters, and the god he serves laughs louder. Because even Fulgrim, the angel of perfection, is still just another instrument playing endlessly in Slaanesh's eternal symphony of despair. Have you ever met someone who speaks without words, whose silence feels heavier than any scream, whose very presence makes the air tremble as if it's holding its breath? Those are the silent ones, the unholy monks of Slaanesh, devotees who have gone beyond sound, beyond language, beyond even thought. They are the end result of obsession so complete that it devours identity itself. Unlike the noise marines, whose music shakes reality, the silent ones seek the opposite. They worship the absence of sound, the stillness that comes after the final note, when all pleasure collapses into nothing. To them, silence is the purest ecstasy, the one sensation that cannot be corrupted further. But Slaanesh, ever the paradox, finds even silence a form of indulgence. Their monasteries drift through the warp like mirages, cathedrals sculpted from glass and bone, suspended in fields of frozen light. Within their halls, thousands of devotees kneel in eternal meditation. Their mouths are sealed, their ears carved away, their eyes replaced by glimmering shards of crystal that reflect the world as endless color. They no longer see reality as others do, only the beauty of sensation itself. Each one has cut away everything that tied them to who they were: names, memories, desires. In that emptiness, they feel closer to their God. Every heartbeat is a prayer, every breath a confession. They say that, in the deepest meditation, the silent ones can hear Slaanesh's true voice not as sound, but as pure feeling. And when they do, they weep blood from their crystal eyes. Yet there is something darker still. Sometimes, the silent ones awaken. When the warp stirs, when the noise marine's music reverberates across eternity, the monks rise from their stillness. They do not scream, they do not chant, they resonate. Their bodies vibrate like tuning forks of flesh and crystal, releasing waves of psychic energy that ripple through the warp like a siren's call. Entire planets have fallen silent in their wake, as if the universe itself paused to listen. To outsiders, they are terrifying. To Slaanesh, they are beautiful. They embody the God's ultimate paradox that silence and excess, emptiness and indulgence, are merely two sides of the same obsession. The silent ones remind us of the truth most followers forget: pleasure isn't just about what you feel, it's about what you can't stop feeling. Even nothingness becomes ecstasy when you've lost everything else. And so they sit, unmoving, eternal, the soundless heartbeat of Slaanesh's empire. If you ever hear a moment of total stillness, a silence so perfect that your own pulse sounds deafening in your ears, you might not be alone. It could be the touch of a silent one passing by, carrying the weight of endless pleasure wrapped in eternal quiet. Have you ever wondered what happens when a god gets everything it wants? When every soul has screamed its final pleasure, when every emotion has been tasted, when even perfection itself becomes dull. That is the end of Slaanesh's story and the end of everyone who ever followed them. In the silent depths of the warp, beyond the thrones of the other chaos gods, Slaanesh sits upon a shifting sea of color and flesh, surrounded by beauty so overwhelming it borders on madness. Every whisper, every sigh, every vibration of reality feeds into the god's endless hunger. But even gods can grow tired. Even eternity can start to rot. There comes a moment, if such a thing as moment exists in the warp, when Slaanesh stops. The music ceases. The garden stills. The palace holds its breath. For the first time since creation, the Prince of Excess feels something new: boredom. The sensations that once ignited galaxies now feel empty. The souls writhing in ecstasy no longer amuse. The symphonies of pain and pleasure blend into static. Slaanesh, the god who has everything, finds nothing left worth desiring. And that, perhaps, is the cruelest irony of all, that the god of excess is doomed by their own nature. Because when you have tasted all things, there is nothing left but hunger itself. Desire devours even its master. The Daemons of Slaanesh, the cults, the noise marines, they continue their rituals, their songs, their endless pursuit of feeling. They don't realize the god they serve no longer watches them out of joy, but out of need. Slaanesh feeds not because they want to, but because they must. The universe must burn with new sensations, or the god will fade. And so the cycle continues. Worlds fall, civilizations collapse, and mortals keep chasing that same seductive whisper, the promise that there's something more. Always more. But the truth is simple. There is nothing more. There never was. In the end, the pleasures of Slaanesh are not rewards, they are mirrors. Every soul that falls sees only what it wanted most. And when that desire finally destroys them, the reflection fades, leaving nothing but emptiness behind. That's the true horror of life under Slaanesh. Not the pain. Not the pleasure. But the silence that follows when all that's left of you is the echo of what you once craved. So the next time you hear that faint whisper in the back of your mind, promising you the world, remember, every promise Slaanesh makes ends the same way, with nothing. Because desire never ends. It only consumes. With that said, thanks for watching and until next time.